Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. It's me again, Chelsea, and today we are going to be taking a look at my entire self-pubbed collection of books. I saw Dom over at Domish Books do this video and I thought, what a great way to shout out some authors for Indie August. So I will link Dom's video down below, make sure you go check him out, he is fantastic. And we're just gonna dive right in, really. I've got a couple of arcs to show you first, and then we'll go into it. If I know what the book's about, like I've read it, I will talk to you about it. If not, I'm just going to show you the book because I don't want to be reading loads of blurbs. It will just make this video excessively long. So the first arc that I want to show you is actually Guzzle by I Anonymous. I am waiting for the finished copy of this to arrive and an arc of Baden Hill to come, which is the sequel, which will be hopefully coming through my door very, very soon. I'm very sad that I don't have to show it today, but I'll show it in a vlog when it arrives because I'll be very excited. So this is a historical fantasy retelling of sorts. So in this book we have got Guzzle, whose eye you can see. He is a dragon. He is the leader of a death cult, which is something that, you know, drags you in. We see through the point of view of George, who I think is foreshadowing for Saint George, who slays a dragon here in the UK or England. He is the saint that we have, I think. But we look through his eyes. We meet Morgana, as in Merlin and Morgana. We are following also a princess in the desert called Sabra, and she is like finding her way through her own world and trying not to get caught up in the death cult. So it's great. It's really good. I rated this 4 stars. As I said when I was reading it, the first bit of this book, I was unsure whether it was for me, but it does pick up. Like, I love the fantasy elements when they come in, and I thought it was really, really good. And I know loads of people have also enjoyed this book, so definitely one to add to your TBR if you haven't checked it out. Then the most recent arc that I've actually been sent that I screamed almost when I opened it in a very recent vlog is Bonds of Chaos by Zach Argyle. This is the 3rd and final book in his Threadlight series. It is fantastic. Once I finish The Warrior, which I'm currently at this moment reading, I will be jumping straight on into this for Indie August, and I am very excited. So in this series I talk about it an awful lot, but the magic system in this book is fantastic. It's very original in my opinion. You can be a thread weaver, so you either have blue eyes, which signify that you can thread weave with air, or green eyes where you can thread weave with earth. If you have brown eyes, you are achromatic. And at the start of this book we are following Chris, who is one of our main characters, if not the main character of the first book, and he is attending the eye-opening ritual of his friend. So when you are living in this world, when you are a baby, you are taken to basically almost like a church, and these priests drop things into babies' eyes, and it's the first time they open their eyes, and if they have either blue or green eyes, they're a threadweaver. If they're brown, they're achromatic, which means they are normal. So in this world, when you have 3 kids, your final kid, if they're a threadweaver, you can keep them, and if they're achromatic, then they basically get blinded and sent to the church. A little bit traumatizing, got to be honest, but a very cool concept, and that is literally where the book opens up. And Chris is full of all sorts of secrets, and this book is just full of such amazing characters, and I loved it. He goes on this massive adventure just to keep his family safe. He is very family orientated, which I absolutely adore. This is such a good series. I absolutely love it. Make sure you check it out. I currently scream about this series all the time, and yeah, can't wait to finish it off and possibly shed a tear or two. And then the 3rd and final arc that I have to show you, I got sent last year. That is the arc of Darkness and Light by Ryan Carhill. I am currently listening to this audibly, and I will have this finished in the month of August. And I will have read The Exile, so I'll be ready to read whatever arc I will be able to get my hands on from Ryan, and I will read it on time, and I'm thinking about possibly doing content for it, so we'll just have to see what happens. But this is the 2nd main book in the Bound and Broken series. He has released 2 novellas within this series. One is the full, you either read it before you start the series or after. I read it after. I think I would have preferred to read it before. There's a whole controversy if you ever go into the Discord for Ryan, so, you know, make of that what you will. And then the most recent novella is called The Exile, which follows one of the characters in this sequel. So the first book we are following, again, kind of a range of perspectives, but not as much as in this book. But in the first book we are following our main character Kaelin, who is basically this teenager who goes through all sorts of stuff, but his life really turns around when he goes on a trip, and he basically ends up killing a member of the King's Guard and then has to go on the run, and from then his whole life is changed. He experiences so many things. These books cover so many different topics, which I really love. I love the strong theme of friendship. There is no real romance in these books as of yet, which I absolutely adore. There is a relationship in the first one, but it's not really spoken about. It's more of like a hush-hush kind of thing. That's really cool. I just love like the whole theme of friendship and loyalty and how far you would go if you believed something, and it's so good. So yeah, like I said, this will be finished in the month of August, and I will be ready for more heartbreak in of war and ruin. Right, just moving on to general books. So we have Illborn. We all know about Illborn. I have started Illborn. I still haven't read any more of Illborn. Me and Lisa from Lisa Does Live, who I also co-host It's All About Fantasy with, we're reading Illborn. She's got 200 pages left and I'm only 200 odd pages in. So that's fun. This series, is this going to be a series? Yes, it is. Book 1 of the Illborn saga. Ignore me. So this book, the really cool thing about this book is that it follows 4 different perspectives of how these 4 people are going to come together. They're all experiencing different things, and there's like this weird dream that they keep having, and they all hear like different words, and these different words kind of come to them in different ways, which is very, very cool. Trigger warning for what I have already read in this. There is an attempted rape scene, and it did make me feel uncomfortable, obviously, as these scenes do. So if you're triggered by that, just be careful when you're going into this. Obviously, I know nothing else about this because I have not read it, but I do want to finish it and I do want to keep reading it. It is written very, very well. Obviously, I might just start it again, if I'm honest. I know Lisa has got plans to finish off this book, and I'm not going to join her, really. I will finish it, but possibly not in the month of August. Then we have one I have read, and that's Paladin Unbound by Jeff Spey. I love this book. This was 4 stars. This is D&D inspired. If you love D&D, definitely check this out. It is a world of greatness. Our main character, Umra, is half orc, and he is working with this like band of other orcs, and they befall a tragedy. So he has to team up with some other misfits in order to defeat a great evil, and I thought this was really good. We're waiting on book 2. I'm sure it's going to be fantastic. I know that I need to reread this before I go into book 2, so when we find out when book 2 is going to be coming out, I will be doing a reread of this physically. I listened to it audibly. What I said back then was that I think I want to reread it physically, because when I reread it physically, I'll pick up on the little things I may have missed out on listening to it audibly, because I pay a lot of attention, but obviously I feel like when you read a book physically you pick up more details. So that is what I plan to do when the sequel is close to coming out, and then I can dive right on into the sequel and carry on with this series. Next, We Break Mortals by Thomas Howard Riley. So the little thing says, if they see you coming, it is already too late. Kill them while you can. I believe this is like a really cool mixture of different people. Yeah, a drug addict who hunts sorcerers, the most renowned swordsman no one has ever heard of, and a thieving, magic-wielding woman hell-bent on revenge collide during a last-ditch effort to stop an insane, superhuman serial killer from making himself a god. If that doesn't sell you on this book, I don't know what will. So I bought this book because it was on a deal on Amazon, and it was literally like £4 or £5 for this chunky thing, and I was like, yeah, definitely. I have not got around to reading it yet. Obviously I plan to. This is a series. I don't know how many books are going to be in this series. This is volume 1. I am very excited. I am quite intimidated though, because it's huge, and although it's only listed as like 700 odd pages, what you have to remember is that this is probably a lot bigger than a normal book. So technically it's probably closer to 800-900 pages. So if you cut off like this much of it, it probably squeezes down to like 800 or 900 pages. but I'll get around to it eventually. Technically this is actually an arc, I just forgot to put it with the arcs, but this is Small Places by Matthew Samuels. This is something that he very kindly sent me, and it is magical realism essentially, because our main character, he has been living a very unfulfilled life down in London, and he has come back to his hometown because his mother has been diagnosed with cancer and she's in the hospital, and he's going through the house to sell it, and he stumbles upon this magical world and this very crabby witch, and she wants him to help her fix Mother Earth essentially because something has gone wrong. And he meets fauns that smoke weed and beer brewing trolls and all sorts of weird and wonderful things. The really cool thing is that where this book is actually set, or like a couple of the places that this book is actually set, is where I grew up, so I actually can fully picture exactly where he's on about. One of them is within a forest within Gloucestershire, and I've seen the things that he's describing, and it's just so cool. It's just quite nice to actually see like where I grew up featured in a book, so that's quite something really. But yeah, I love this. I know he's got other books. One of them is called Parasite, I think. I haven't checked out anything else he has written yet, but I do plan to, and I really enjoyed this. I thought it was 4 stars, and I need the sequel because the ending of this book is quite the cliffhanger, and I need to know how that character knows what they know. These next 4 books are books that I featured in my come book shopping video that I have already put up. It'll be linked down in the VEDA playlist down below, so make sure you go and check it out. But the first one is The Fangs of War by E.J. Dobble, which is the Blood and Steel Saga book 1. This sounded incredible. It's been on my radar for a little while, and I have very kindly been chosen as one of the 10 people who get to read an arc of his novella that's coming out later on this year, and I'm very, very excited. I have asked him which one I need to read first, and I have asked them which one I need to read first, and they said it doesn't really matter, so I might end up reading the novella first, but I'm looking forward to giving their writing a go. This sounds like so much fun, and it just... In a story of hope, power, greed and hatred, all are driven mad by the enemy within, none are safe from the fangs of war. Like, and look at this cover. Like, how cool is that? How cool is that? So very cool. So yeah, looking forward to giving this one a go. Next we have another one that I bought, and that is A Touch of Light by Tiago Abdallah. So this is the first book in the Ashes of Averin series. I have read the novella already, which is A Prelude of Ashes. That has recently come out this year. Very good, really enjoyed it. I'm hoping that it has given me a base of knowledge for this book. And this book, basically, from what I know of this one, death is frowned upon in one part of the world, and if you die, like, you can't grieve. Like, if you have people who die, you can't grieve because it's like a sin, essentially. And there are priests that can save people for when their god comes back to, like, resurrect them, and then the other part of the world values death and kind of thinks it's quite sacred. So there are obviously 2 massive forces here. There are also griffins in this book, which sounds fantastic. And the little bit says, dive into this sweeping epic fantasy saga where religion and politics are one, magic brings terror into the hearts of men, and a looming blight threatens to tear everything down. So one that, again, I'm definitely very looking forward to giving a shot. And I also have spoken to Tiago a couple of times in the SFF Oasis Discord, and he's such a lovely person, so that's really cool as well. The SFF Oasis Twitter is always linked down below. I am one of their interviewers, which is very cool. I really enjoy doing it, and it's just a really cool place to find out about indie authors, and they do buddy reads and all sorts, so make sure you go and check it out if that sounds like something you want to give a go to. Then we have Burn Red Skies by Kirsten Espinosa Rosero. I hope I've said that right. So this is a duology. I know that. I know that Luke loves this book, and he did message me when I put my polls up for this video and said I hope that this wins because it's fantastic. So that is very, very high praise from him. So I have high hopes for this book, and this just says it starts with a rift that burns 1,000 scars into the sky. It makes the winds stop. It makes the stars go dark. It awakens an ancient beast, and with it a new rain of blood. It is the summoning, and at the heart of it is fire. Sounds fantastic, does it not? And then the last one from the book buying video is this, which was kind of a last minute choice because of Legends and Lattes actually won, but I cannot buy that book anywhere since it has been bought by Tor and it doesn't come out till November, so I decided that I was going to get this. So this is Shadows of Ivory, the God Forged Chronicles Book 1 by T.L. Greylock and Bryce O'Connor. I did not actually realise that this is a Wraithmark book. I have one of their books up here that I won in a giveaway ages ago, and an undying king, a relic of rune carved bronze and ivory flames, a war for powers only a god could fathom. These books sound so good. Again, this cover is kind of what drew me in. This was a bit of a cover buy. Like, look at that. How stunning is that? And I'm pretty sure this was featured in SP FBO, is that right? The fantasy version, which is the OG version. I feel like this is definitely featured in there somewhere, so that's really cool. And of course the last books that I want to show you before I show you the ones that I actually was very kindly sent by authors is this whole series, which is the Bound and the Broken series, which I have obviously the arc for Of Darkness and Light, which is this one, but we have The Fall, we have Of Blood and Fire, yeah, that is right, Of Darkness and Light, and most recently The Exile. So I have all of them signed, but the last two are the ones that are actually lined and dated? Numbered. These two are numbered, and these two are just signed, which is pretty cool. So I love them. And I love these books, and I am enjoying reading the next book, and I will forever buy whatever Ryan writes because he is fantastic and I love to support indie, but he is actually probably one of the first indie authors that I properly got into. I knew of Jeff Spate first, but yeah, this is one of the first authors that I actually, this is like the first proper arc I got sent, so this series has like a proper special place in my heart, and I love these books. I recommend them all the time. Right, now on to the books that authors for some reason have very kindly sent me, and I am forever grateful. First off, D.W. Ross, thank you, love him, he's amazing. Third book is coming out shortly, just waiting on an ARC copy, which I'm very excited for. So this is the Onyxborne series, and there are 3 books. So Cold from the North is book 1, The Darkest Dusk is book 2, and then The Fury of Fate is book 3. And we are following our main character Ogolf, mainly, in the first book. Book 2 has got more POVs, but book 1 mainly we are following Ogolf and his clan as they escape this cold that has like suddenly encased their land, and they are suddenly being invaded by a force that seems to be crushing everyone and everything in its path. So they flee to the south, and this is kind of their travel story. And then in this one we kind of get to know more. There's lots more action in the sequel, and I just love this series. I love it. It's so good, and I can't wait for book 3, and I can't wait for everything else that Ross writes. So bring it on. Next we have got Season of Kings by A.J. Retker. I am diving into this in the month of August. This sounds so good, and he has actually signed it for me, which is very, very lovely. This came all the way from Canada, like how? But this book sounds absolutely incredible. It sounds so dark. War is upon the land and the throne sits empty. Who will claim it? And then I believe we're following like 3 different POVs, which always adds to my reading and makes me read a little bit faster when I want to know what everyone else is currently doing. So this sounds like a lot of fun. I think this is the only sci-fi on this list. Actually, I'm pretty sure it is the only sci-fi on this list, and that is Zeroed Out by Jacob Markoff. Again, very kindly sent to me, thank you very much. And this is a cyberpunk thriller set in a fully automated metropolis governed by an all-seeing synthetic intelligence that examines the morality of limiting technological evolution. So I've already read some of this book and I think it sounds so bloody cool. So the idea of this book, our main character is called Zed, and this gives me very much like Altered Carbon, like that sort of city vibes with the neon lights and the like zooming cars and all that fun stuff. It's so cool. He is an enforcer, but he is a big gambler, so he's down on his luck and he's spending a lot of money, and somehow him and our other main character, Ash, are going to intertwine to try and figure out the murder investigation. So I'm very excited to crack on with this and to see how it goes. Then we have got this amazing book, which is The Trials of Ashmont by John Palladino. This is a trials book, funnily enough. Caden is destined to collapse across a world rife with blood, betrayal and brutality. 5 people wade through unexpected tragedies. An egotistical student, a fleeing refugee, a nomadic warrior, a fallen noble and a criminal in hiding navigate the sinister dealings of politicians, 2 sudden wars and nefarious lies that surface at Ashmont, a university dedicated to teaching the 5 branches of magic. Survival means adapting or dying. And yeah, this sounds just exactly what I want. And also, again, these covers, these self-pub covers are just so pretty, and when I posted a photo of this, everyone commented about how pretty this cover was, so it's so true. This one is The Legend of Blackjack by A.R. Witham. If you don't know Andy, Andy is now in charge of the SFF Oasis, which is very, very cool. He's a very cool person. He is a very motivating person. And this is a YA portal fantasy following our main character, Jack Swift, who ends up going through a portal and is kidnapped by a hideous monster. How will this end? I don't know. So that's what we're going to find out when I read this book. Again, he has signed it, which is so cool, and sent me a little note as well. So love that. And I also kind of feel a special place for this guy already, like, because my other half's name is Jack. This guy is called Jack. Getting kidnapped through a portal is also the sort of thing that my Jack would end up having done to him, so we'll see how that goes. And then finally there is this amazing book, which is Shadowless by Randall McNally. I read this last year, I think, and again he very kindly sent me this book. This book confused the heck out of me for the first 200 odd pages. You are reading from a different perspective in every single chapter, up until the point where 4 or 5 characters come together and they actually alternate between their point of views to kill a god. So that's pretty cool. The premise of this is that these main characters are all children of gods, and what happens when gods come down and basically sexually assault women, and then because they pass on part of their power to these children, they then come after them to kill them. So that's pretty fun. I love that. But yeah, that's the last one. I'm pretty sure that are all of my indie self-pubbed, indie authored, indie presses books. I might have missed one or 2, but I don't think I have. But this is a fantastic collection and I love these books so much. I cannot wait to dive into them if I haven't already. And if an author has sent me any of these, then thank you ever so much. I am very excited to either read your book, or obviously I will have already posted my review of your book, and I will promote indie authors until I'm blue in the face. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, really supports me and my channel. Leave me a comment down below of an indie author that you have discovered or you want to try from. If you want to leave me an emoji, leave me any writing emojis like a pen or a pencil for indie authors. And if you want to see more of me, please consider subscribing down below and ring that notification bell to get notified every single time I upload new videos. I'm uploading every single day in the month of August for some reason. So if you want to come along with me on this journey, make sure you subscribe. Really supports me and my channel. The playlist, like I said earlier, is linked down below for everything that has already been uploaded, and everything will be added to that playlist as I go along. So please check it out as well. I'd really appreciate it. But otherwise, that is everything for today's video. I hope you have enjoyed it, and I'll see you tomorrow for something else. Bye.